Welcome to EPG Pathshala on the subject Social Medicine and Community Health. I am Professor C.P. Mishra, working in the Department of Community Medicine, Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. I shall be discussing the module Human Activities and Degrading Environment. This module belongs to the paper Environmental Health. It is a contribution from a team comprising of myself as Principal Investigator, Dr. Vidya-mitra, ex-Professor and Head of the Department of Community Medicine, IMS BHU Varanasi as Paper Coordinator. The module is written by myself and the module has been reviewed by Professor Vidya-mitra of the Department of Community Medicine, IMS BHU Varanasi. The learning objectives that has been set for this module includes that after going through this module, one should understand the concept of environmental degradation, how humans and environment interact and what are their relationship by their activities, causes of degrading environment and their impact on humans, global environmental crises, measures and solutions. Ever since the existence of humans on Earth, more than 2 million years ago, the natural resources were overabundant as compared to the needs. As human population increased, needs increased, and these were drawn at an increasing rate from the environment. Even today, natural resources are being exploited by humans to meet their needs with a catastrophic outcome. Environment literally means surrounding. In other words, environment is the sum total of water, air and land interrelationships among themselves with the human beings and other living organisms. It includes all the biotic and abiotic components of the ecosystem and their interactions. The components of the environment, physical, biological, social environment. Within the physical environment, we have air, water, soil, housing, waste, radiation. Biological environment could be plants, animals, bacteria, viruses, insects and rodents. And social environment includes customs, cultures, habits, income of the people, occupational people, religion and so on. Concept of environmental degradation. Environmental degradation is the deterioration of the environment through depletion of resources such as air, water and soil, the destruction of ecosystems and the extinction of wildlife. It is defined as any change or disturbance to the environment perceived to be deleterious or undesirable. The key to man's health lies mostly in his environment. Most of the man's diseases are due to adverse environmental factors such as water pollution, air, noise and soil pollution, poor housing conditions, animal reservoirs, insect vectors and diseases which pose a constant threat to man's health. Humans are dependent on the environment as a resource for food supply, as raw products to build shelter, as a source of energy, for recreation, as a major source of medicines, raw materials for industrial products. However, with the population explosion, there has been an over-exploitation of the environment. Till date, most of the requirements in terms of food supply, in terms of building of shelter, source of energy, major sources of medicines, raw materials for industrial products have been met. But since with the population explosion and use of technology, these resources are gradually being eliminated. In environment, building materials, building line, cord, paints, furnaces, installations, and so on, have resulted in human activities, have resulted in a number of human activities have resulted in environmental degradation, and the Human activities could be hunting and gathering, agriculture, extinction of large animals, industrial growth, urban development, green revolution, high standard of living, increased pollution, food supply, pesticide use, and other activities. A number of human activities are going on that may exploit the environment, that may pollute the environment. Humans and environment, human survival depends on the health of the ecosystem. And ecosystems are threatened by waste production, damaged habitats, and removal of too many species without getting ample time to naturally regenerate. The point that emerges is that human activities may destroy environment, and destroyed environment may affect human health. Both are interlinked. Causes of environmental degradation. Environmental degradation is the result of the dynamic interplay of socio-economic, institutional and technological activities. Environmental changes may be driven by many factors, including economic growth, population growth, urbanization, intensification of agriculture, rising energy use and transportation. So a number of activities are going on that may be responsible for environmental degradation. Poverty still remains a problem at the root of several environmental problems. Poverty can contribute to environmental problems in many ways, because that leads to more water pollution, that may lead to poor housing conditions, and there may be indoor and outdoor air pollution, and that may lead to burning of coals and firewoods that may be responsible for, again, air pollution. Urbanization is taking place at a faster rate in India. Population residing in urban areas in India, according to 1997 census, was 11 point. This count increased to 28.56 according to 2001 census, and crossing 30% as per 2001 census, standing at 31.16%. So faster urbanization, unplanned urbanization, puts a very serious consequence on health of human beings. According to a survey by UN State of the World Population Report in 2007, by 2030, 40.76% of the country's population is expected to reside in urban areas. So in coming years, the challenges of urbanization will be more. As for World Bank, India, along with China, Indonesia, Nigeria, and United States, will lead to the world's urban population surge by 2050. The Industrial Revolution in the 18th century caused countries like United States and England to become superpower nations, but the present condition is worsening. India's urban growth rate is 2.07%, which seems to be significant compared to Rwanda, which was 7.6%. India has around 300 million people living in metropolitan areas. This has greatly caused slump of problems, with so many overcrowding cities forcing people to live in unsafe conditions, which also include illegal buildings. Water lines, roads and electricity are lacking, which is causing fall in the living standards. It is also adding to the problem of all types of pollution. Urbanization also results in a disparity in the market, owing to the large demands for the growing population and the primary sector struggling to cope with them. Ellen Shirare, 15th August 2015 quotes, urbanization is just becoming a disaster in the city of Mumbai in India. And this is not only, this line is apt for Mumbai, not only Mumbai, other cities are also in the same situation. Land damage, land erosions, land damage are becoming important problem because of human activities. Erosion is more severe now. Globally, moderate to severe soil degradation affects about 2,000 million hectares of arable and grazing land, an area larger than that of the Mexico states and Mexico combined. Soil degradation in developing countries is closely linked to poverty. If there is soil degradation, there will be less production of agricultural production, and that may affect human health very seriously. Every year, soil erosion and other forms of land degradation rob the world of 5 to 7 million hectares of farming land. Every year, 25,000 million tons of topsoil are washed away. Chinese Havang River alone dumps 1600 million tons a year into the sea. Worldwide soil erosion puts the livelihood of nearly 1,000 million people at risk. So, major causes of soil degradation: overgrazing, deforestation, and mismanagement of arable land and others. If you can see soil degradation by area, South America and Asia figures, it varies. Water erosion, million hectares, maximum 450 in case of Asia. It is 123 million hectares in South America, Europe 115 million hectares, North and Central America 106, and Southwest Pacific 83, Africa 227 million hectares. The point is that nearly 50% or more than 50% areas are experiencing water erosion. There is an element of wind erosion, chemical erosion, and physical degradation that is taking place. But what erosion due to water, soil degradation is taking place maximum. The same thing is represented graphically on the entire globe. Very high the global status of human-induced soil degradation is maximum, has been shown by red areas, and India's many areas are experiencing this Then another important problem that is related with human activity is the generation of waste. Estimates on waste generation by an individual per day varies with food habits, standard of living, geographical areas, and even income levels. It is estimated that in urban areas, our homes, schools, and business churn out 57 million tons per year. That amounts to roughly 500 grams per person per day, and incredibly, this amount keeps going up every single day. Future predictions of waste generation in India: 2011, it is estimated that waste generation in 1,000 tons per year will phenomenally increase. Waste generation in thousands per ton year, it is 40 in 2011. It will become to 65 or 70 in 2031, and it is by in the year 2041, it will be around 160,000 tons per year. That's the future prediction that waste generation will increase in coming years within India. Size of land projections required for future landfills. Area of land required for municipal solid waste disposal per square kilometer. City equivalent is in 1947 to 2000, city equivalent was 50% of Mumbai. 1947 to 2011, 380, 90% of the Chennai. 1947 to 2021, 590, that is the city equivalent to Hyderabad, and 2009 to 2047, 1400. Area of land required per municipal solid per square kilometer is 1400 square kilometer. Hyderabad plus Bagh plus Chennai plus Mumbai. So that's the situation. Biomedical waste disposal. 50% waste in Delhi goes untreated every day. 1,125 kg generated at something hospital each day. So a lot of production waste generation is taking place, and if their treatment is not proper, that may cause many diseases. Effects of e-waste on environment. E-waste is going on. E-technology, e-waste is becoming a very serious problem, and what effect e-waste can on health can be. E-waste contains many metals, elements like lead, and which lead to damage to central and peripheral nervous system, blood systems, kidney damage, affects brain development in children. Chromium, asthmatic bronchitis, DNA damage. Cadmium, toxic, irreversible effect on human health, accumulates in the kidney and liver, causes neural damage. It is also teratogenic. Mercury, chronic damage to the brain, respiratory system. Plastics including PVCs, burning product produces dioxin. It causes reproductive and developmental problems. Immune system damage, interferes with regulatory hormones. Another important activity, human activity, that is deforestation, is putting a lot of adverse effect on environment. Deforestation is the permanent destruction of forests in order to make land available for other uses. An estimated 18 million acres, 7.3 million hectares of the forest, which is roughly the size of the country of Panama, are lost each year according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture report. Deforestation, these diagrams clearly reflect what is being done. NASA predicts that if the current deforestation levels proceed, the world's rainforest may be completely gone to in as little as 100 years. The country with the most deforestation is Indonesia. Since the last century, Indonesia has lost at least 15.79 million hectares of forest land, according to a study by US University of Maryland and the World Resource Institute. Deforestation Index 2012, and if you look at that, different countries have been classified accordingly, and this map, global map, signifies that which countries need what kind of activities to preserve the forest area. Desertification. Desertification is the persistent degradation of dry land ecosystem by the variations in the climate and human activities. Home to a third of the human population in 2000, dry land occupies nearly half of the Earth's land area. According to what across the world, desertification affects the livelihood of millions of people who rely on the benefits that dry land ecosystems can provide. In dry land, water scarcity limits the production of crops, forges food, and other services ecosystems provide to humans. Dry lands are therefore highly vulnerable to increases in human pressures and climatic variability, especially sub-Saharan and Central Asian dry lands. Some 10 to 20% dry lands are already degraded, and ongoing desertification threatens the world's poorest populations and the prospects of poverty reduction. Therefore, desertification is one of the greatest environmental challenges today and a major barrier to meeting basic human needs in dry lands. So, this is a diagram that shows what dry land systems, hyper-arid, semi-arid and dry arid areas in the different parts of the country, and depending on the level of status, they can perform their activities. Consequences of desertification are many. Provisioning services such as food, forage, fiber and fresh water, regulating services such as water purification and climatic regulation, cultural services, recreation and cultural activity, supporting services such as soil conservation. When faced by desertification, people have responded by either increasing using other low productivity land for cultivation or by converting more range land into cultivated land. Since policies to promote alternative livelihoods are usually not in place, people often migrate to other areas towards cities or even to other countries. These migrations sometimes exhibit urban sprawl and can bring about socio-political problems. Poverty, immigration, and reduced human well-being is a closely linked. Human factors, demographic, economic, socio-political, and improved human well-being are closely linked. Approaches to avoid desertification, political stability is needed, improved crop and livestock production is needed, and lower parental risk, reduced soil erosion, increased biological productivity can ensure this. Pollution is a big problem. Pollution in whatever form, whether it is air, water, land, or noise, is harmful for the human environment. Air pollution produces the Air that we breathe will cause health issues. Water pollution degrades the quality of water that we use for drinking purposes. Land pollution degrades the Earth's surface as a result of human activities. Noise pollution can cause irreparable damage to our ears. When exposed to continuous large sounds like honking of vehicles or busy road or machines producing large noise or a factory or mill. Air pollution, a physical, biological or chemical alteration in air in the atmosphere can be termed as air pollution. And a lot of human activities are going on which causes harmful gas, dust, smoke for producing an atmosphere and makes difficult for plants, animals and humans to survive. And air pollution can further be classified into two sectors, indoor air pollution, outdoor pollution, and they have different consequences. This is indoor pollution, that's outside air pollution, and so on. Sources of air pollution are many. Primary pollutants, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, nitrous oxide. Secondary pollutants, sulfur trioxide, sulfuric acid, ammonia, hydrogen peroxide, particulate matters, nitric acid, and so on, because of so many activities. Outdoor pollution and air pollution. Outdoor air pollution is large and increasing as a consequence of the inefficient combustion of fuels for transport, power generation, other human activities, and home heating and cooking. Combustion process produces a complex mixture of pollutants that comprise of both primary emissions such as diesel soot, particles and lead, and other products of atmospheric transformation such as ozone and sulfate particles. Urban and outdoor air pollution is estimated to cause 1.3 million deaths worldwide per year. Children are particularly at risk due to immaturity of their respiratory organ systems. Those living in middle-income countries disproportionately experience this burden. Exposure to air pollutants is largely beyond the control of individuals and requires action by public authorities at national, regional, and even international levels. Major sources: their health effects, environmental effects. SO2 is produced by industry. Major health effects are respiratory and cardiovascular risk, precursor to acid rain, which damage lakes, rivers, trees, damage to cultural relics. Nitrogen oxide and vehicles, it is produced by vehicles and industry. Respiratory and cardiovascular illness. Nitrogen deposition leading to over-fertilization and eutrophication. Particulate matter, vehicles, industry. Particulates penetrate deep into the lungs and can enter bloodstream. Then visibility is affected. Carbon monoxide, vehicles, headaches and fatigue, especially in people with weak cardiovascular health. Lead, vehicles, burning lead-related gasolines, accumulates in bloodstream over time, damages nervous system. The environmental effects of fish and animal are killed. Ozone, found from reaction of nitrogen oxide, respiratory illness, reduced crop production and forest growth, smoke precursor. Then indoor air pollution, indoor cooking and heating with biomass fuels, agricultural residue, dung, cow wood or coal produce high levels of indoor smoke that contains a variety of health damaging pollutants. This is inconsistent evidence that exposure to indoor air pollution can lead to acute respiratory infections in children under age 5 and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung and cancer in adults. Indoor air pollution is responsible for 2 million deaths annually. Acute lower respiratory infections, in particular pneumonia, contribute to the biggest killer of young children, and this toll almost exclusively falls on children in developing countries. The 3 danger levels of indoor air pollution are: health, danger 1 level is health effects, then danger 2 levels infectious agents, and danger 3 levels effects to memory lapse and mild depression and so on. So depending on the pollution level, indoor pollution, the danger levels can be classified into 3 categories, health, other systems. The harm to people from acid rain is not direct. However, the pollutants that cause acid rain, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, do damage human health. These gases interact in the atmosphere to form sulfate and nitrate particles that can be transported long distance by winds and inhaled deep into the people's lung. Fine particles can also penetrate indoors. Many scientific studies have identified the relationship between elevated levels of fine particles and increased illness and premature death from heart and lung disorders such as asthma and bronchitis. The formation of acid rain, transboundary pollution can take place because the Na2, SO2 and the acid that is formed they are carried over a long distance. Effect of global warming. Over the last 50 years, human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels, have released sufficient quantities of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases to trap additional heat in the lower atmosphere and affect the global climate. In the last 100 years, the world has warmed by 0.75 degrees centigrade. Each of the three last decades has been successfully warmer than the preceding decades since 1850. Sea level are rising, glaciers are melting, and precipitation patterns are changing. Extreme weather events are also becoming more intense and frequent. The greenhouse effect, as I have discussed, that if there are more emission of greenhouse effect, there will be most radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface and environment. But some of the infrared rays goes on. Infrared radiation is emitted by the Earth's surface. Global warming is taking place. Extreme high air temperatures contribute directly to death from cardiovascular respiratory diseases, particularly among elderly people. In the heat wave of summer 2003, in Europe, for example, more than 70,000 excess deaths were recorded. High temperatures also raise the levels of ozone and other pollutants in the air that express cardiovascular respiratory diseases. Extreme high temperatures contribute directly to death from pollen and other allergens levels are also higher in extreme heat. This can trigger asthma, which affects about 300 million people. Ongoing temperature increase and expected to increase this burden. Ozone depletion is a very serious problem because of global warming and particularly the compounds like carbon tetrafluoride, carbon tetrafluoride, and creating larger ozone holes. And this leads to a risk of cancer, skin cancer. Environmental effects on ozone depletion are enormous, and it can affect not only human beings, not only it can cause lung cancer, but it can cause other diseases. Water pollution has a very serious adverse consequences, which I have discussed in the particularly nitrate concentration drinking water beyond whose understanding have carcinogenic effect. Nitrate levels of 100 mg per liter can lead to blue waving. Nitrate content of 300 mg or more can cause gastric cancer and so on. And water with 4 mg fluoride can lead to asymptomatic osteosclerosis and peri-osteoid growth. So water pollution can lead to many diseases that it has been discussed in other model. It was reported in 2000 that lack of clean water kills more people than war and all other forms of violence combined together. An average of nearly 4,400 premature deaths a day are brought by unsafe water. Majority of those deaths are from children younger than the age of 5 years. Noise pollution is a serious problem, and every measure to be. The source of most outdoor noise worldwide is mainly caused by machines and transportation systems, motor vehicles, aircrafts, and trains. Poor urban planning gives rise to noise pollution, so also side by side industrial and residential buildings can result in noise pollution in residential area. Radiation effects are large, and depending on the load of radiation, eyes, thyroid, lungs, stomach, reproductive system, skin and bone marrow may be affected. Pollutants and their effect. Pollutants can affect possibly all organs, nerve damage, blood disorder, brain and kidney, respiratory damage, lung diseases and so on, and gastrointestinal infections, and there is a hearing loss. Noise pollution, water pollution. Crying earth, global environmental crisis. Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster, we know. On 26th April 1986, one of the reactors of the nuclear plant in Ukraine exploded, resulting in a nuclear meltdown that sent massive amounts of radiation in the atmosphere. Following that event, thousands of people had to evacuate the place. A year later, we have still horrified at Chernobyl legacy through thousands of maldevelopment features as children and adult developing cancers. Bhopal gas tragedy, we all know the effects. Besides deaths, still many people around midnight of December 2, 1984, an accident at Union Carbide pesticide Bhopal resulted in 40,000 tons of poisonous methyl isocyanate released. Thousands died within hours. Until about 500,000 people were affected in some way or other, and victims are also surviving victims have many malformations, organ failure, and blindness, and so on. We have Minata disease, Japan's worst industrial poisoning that anybody can go through, and that is considered as the worst industrial poisoning that has affected in Japan. EXXON oil spill has had very bad effect on mass. Time for a change. According to 1992 World Scientists Warning to Humanity, we have known about the impacts of environmental degradation that arise from human activities for some time now. About 17 of the world's leading scientists, including the majority of Nobel laureates in sciences, issued an appeal on November 92 to combat against environmental degradation through human activities, proclaiming human beings and the natural world are on the collision course. Fundamental changes are urgent if you are to avoid the collision, and our present course will bring about that. Measures and solutions, 5 components. We should make assessment. We must do a risk analysis, public education, political will and action, and follow-up. This combined effort will planting trees will take care of the assessment and negative effects, the gathering enough information, performing experiments, making predictions. Environmental impact assessment is a tool for decision makers to identify potential environmental impacts of proposed projects, to evaluate alternative approaches, and to design and incorporate against prevention, mitigation, management, and monitoring measures. Environmental impact assessment cannot be diverse from social impact of the project. Hence, the latter is considered as the key dimension of any impact assessment. Risk analysis and negative impacts, use of available information to predict the consequences of environment degradation, evaluate the potential to solve the environmental problems. Public education is a must. Inform the public about the negative impacts, explain probable cost and results, present alternative solutions, political will and actions are needed. The public through officials select and implement the course of action. This will result in plant trees, educate people, and efficient management of solid waste disposal, prevent pollution, reduce waste, try composting of biodegradable, use natural resources for efficiency, recycle, maintain the diversity of life, protect the world's natural, cultural, and indigenous heritage, support environmental education, support local action and community participation, keep your environmental clean, keep green, and so human activities, a lot of human activities are going on that is polluting environment. A lot of measures can be taken to keep our environment so that the human life will be conducive, where we can live in an optimum way. Thank you very much for visiting UPG Parsala.